Fine. If nobody wants to be the king of bold predictions, I will do it. I will take the throne back. I will make predictions that come true. And the Podcast Daily Freaky Friday will be my show again. Is that what you guys want?
Whatever.
Sorry.
I want it to be called Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday. That is Bill Landis and Jeremy Birmingham.
Time to rock around. No. I don't
It's
know.
me, Austin Ward, the king of bold predictions, and we are back. They're bold peas. Listen to me. I rule.
It probably speaks volumes about what we're doing on this show that you've got one right this season and that you're the king of the show.
That's all it took, baby. You guys had 5 weeks to get one, and only I walked through that door up to the throne, accepted the crown, and celebrated Josh Proctor's bold prediction coming true.
Okay, so because of that, you get to go first. So go ahead.
Okay, I think
at Purdue noon.
Ohio State at Purdue.
Peacock.
It's streaming on the cock at noon. Bold. We got to let Berm know that West Lafayette is actually in the Eastern time zone. He's been preparing all week for 11 a.m.
Yeah.
As much time as we spend in the state of Indiana, we probably should have already known that, and I wouldn't have had to check, but I did, just so that we know when to show up. So,
Mick Walker from 247 Sports corrected me. Like we talked about it like 2 weeks ago on the live show, and he sent me a text the next day and said, Purdue's actually always in Eastern Standard. I was like, no, they're not. He's like, I travel there like 4 times a week. I'm like, no, they're not. You're wrong. And then it turns out he was correct. So,
yeah. And we were also apparently wrong about whether there's turf or not in this stadium. So we've been really crushing the Purdue previews.
Or grass?
It's grass.
Really? It just looks like it's just turfy grass?
Turfy grass. That's what they call it.
Turfy grass. Yeah, it's the good stuff.
All right. So I'm supposed to go first, and I will. I think that Xavier Johnson will slide into Emeka Egbuka's position, take those reps, and he's going to score 2 touchdowns for Ohio State in this game. I don't know why Brian Hartline was being so evasive on Wednesday night about what they're going to do. I guess he didn't want to just come out and say, well, Emeka Egbuka is not going to play in this game and Xavier Johnson will, and there may be an opportunity for Carnell Tate. We'll see. And I can understand why, but like, it seems pretty obvious that Xavier Johnson would be the next man into this rotation. And I think it could actually help him produce at a higher level if he doesn't have to just go in there and be a gadget player and a gimmick and like, alert, Xavier Johnson's out there. They're going to do something really weird to force him the football. Like, it didn't do him any favors. Like, he is a good enough football player to go make plays in Emeka Egbuka's position without it having to be, tricks and misdirection. He is good. He earned the Blocko jersey. He's earned that scholarship. He's earned the opportunity to do those things. And there's no point in using Emeka Egbuka in this game. If it's close, I've said that all week. I will stand by it. Emeka probably wants to play, but in the best interest of getting ready for Penn State, he shouldn't have to. And Xavier Johnson is capable enough to take on. So he is not Emeka Egbuka, but he is.
No, he's Xavier Johnson.
Yeah, he is not a first-round NFL draft pick. Xavier Johnson is not, and that's how highly I think of Emeka Egbuka. But he can do 85 to 90% of the things that Emeka can do, and that's good enough to score a couple times, a double ding-dong at Purdue.
Where does that mean that you think Xavier Johnson gets drafted?
I don't know that he will get drafted, Berm. Sometimes you and I were both reminded of this process, like we were doing the path to the draft. Like, there's a limited number of spots, and if like Ronnie Hickman could be a good pro for a long time, it's hard to get drafted. I don't think Xavier Johnson probably will get drafted, but I think he can build enough value for himself as a special teams player or an option as a slot wide receiver that he could go to a training camp and potentially make a team. But I wouldn't go out here right now and make a bold P that Xavier Johnson would get drafted.
I would make that bold P. Round 6 next year. What you mentioned, like the special teams versatility, the leadership, the way he is with the ball in his hands, that guy's going to get drafted, which is crazy to think about considering he was a walk-on and has, had to fight for 6 years to get reps, but he came back for a reason. And that's because he knows he can get drafted.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next? Me or William?
Are you asking yourself?
Let the king decide.
I decree Bill will go next.
Damn it. I know what Bill's going to do here. And it's
okay.
Up on my tours.
I have a question before I make a pick. Austin, are those 2 receiving touchdowns for Xavier Johnson, or are we going to mix it up with a rush and a pass?
Well, it's going to be the second one is going to be a pop pass. So it may be an extension of the running game, but it will go down as both receiving.
Got it. That'll help the Kyle McCord over passing touchdowns hit. I like that.
Say less.
Yeah. So I have a bold P that's tied to a similar idea of yours, but I'm going to do this one first. JT Tuimoloau is going to have 3 sacks in this game. The right tackle for Purdue is either going to be an NAIA transfer or a transfer from Kent State who has not played an offensive snap yet this year. The kid from NAIA has played 10 true pass rush snaps and allowed 9 pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. It has not been particularly good when that young man has been in the game. I would guess maybe they might go with the other guy because he's like actually played, against Power 5 competition in major college football. Either way, I think JT might line up on that side of the line for the entire game because we've seen Ohio State do that the last couple of weeks. They put him on the right side at the end of the Notre Dame game. He moved around a lot against Maryland. Larry Johnson was talking this week about being more intentional, hunting those kind of mismatches. And I think JT is the guy who can best exploit that in a similar fashion to what he did last year against Penn State when Penn State had a backup right tackle playing and JT made that the worst day of that kid's life. So I think that JT is going to do something similar in this game and rack up 3 sacks after getting a sack and a half last week.
Berm didn't look very happy for that.
No, I'm glad because I was confident Bill was going to talk rushing game, and maybe he's just so far out on the rushing game that he's
I got one of those
to go into it. But I think Ohio State will rush for 250 yards on Saturday, which is, it doesn't seem like that big of a number, but when you average 1.1 yard a carry against Maryland, that you'd have to have almost 200 carries to get 250 in that game.
That's math.
So that's illogical. This week, however, I think the Buckeyes will average almost 7 yards a carry against Purdue, and I think they're going to end up with 250 yards rushing. I've got it at about 30 carries for 250. So you're going to have maybe 1 or 2 that bust a little bit longer. Maybe they run a little bit more at the end of the game. But either way, I think Treveyon Henderson in his return, I've got him circled for 13 carries and 126 yards and 2 tutties. And I think the Buckeyes, this is the type of game where you are going into it with one goal in mind, which is regain some confidence for a group that has been beaten to crap over the last couple of weeks, justifiably because they've played terrible. But now you've gotten a little vote of confidence this week from your coaches saying, hey, these guys are not at jeopardy of losing their jobs. Justin Fry got an opportunity to talk to the media on Wednesday night, and I really always like listening to Justin Fry talk. He's to the point. He doesn't sugarcoat things. I think these guys know what they need to do. Purdue's giving up close to 5 yards a carry this season against some pretty average rushing teams that don't have the home run hitters or the top line talent that Ohio State does. I think the Buckeyes should be able to get healthy on the running game. Now, it doesn't mean anything for next week against Penn State, but I think that it is going to be the focus for Ohio State, and I think they will succeed. 250 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns on the day total.
I have a question for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Byrne mentioned this being a confidence builder. Do you think normally you would have a game like this right before Penn State, and forgetting all the trap game conversation nonsense, one of the things that Byrne would normally say, I think, is you have to get through Purdue healthy. Like, don't push it, don't risk it. I wonder, like, what's the balance for that outside of the Emeka Egbuka conversation? Like, do you think that they will take this game more seriously as a confidence builder and like push the envelope more than a normal Purdue pre-Penn State game? What do you think, Bill?
You mean like
not going to be vanilla, not going to pull guys early necessarily? I mean,
I don't think they're going to be vanilla. I think Ryan Day's track record is to actually show more in games like this ahead of a big game, and then like not do any of it in the big game, which is kind of annoying sometimes. But I think we actually do see some different stuff against Purdue. Maybe you're a little cautious with a guy like Treveyon because he's coming off of whatever kept him out last week, and you do want to make sure you have him healthy for the Penn State game. But no, aside from that, I think they want to come out and like play their game and kind of build some confidence, build momentum, and get back into a little bit of a rhythm that it does feel like they've lost a little bit.
I think you can do both. If you come out of the gate aggressive and doing the different things that we haven't seen in the first half, of the game, you can allow the running game to get unhitched a little bit. You can still use the passing game to get a little bit more creative. And then you can still, if you're doing things the right way on the road at Purdue, you still should be able to get Marvin Harrison and some of those guys out of the game by the middle part of the third quarter and move forward. We talk about Emeka Egbuka this week, but to me, I think your goal is to get Marvin Harrison out of this game and let Carnell Tate, let Xavier Johnson, let some of these other guys get some reps that are valuable reps, not necessarily in garbage time, but in parts of a game where you have a comfortable lead and you can still run your offense. So I think you can do both. It's just about a hot start, and Ohio State has not started very well in any game yet this season. So you've got to come out and put your best football on the field right away. And I believe they will do that on Saturday.
I can buy all that. Those make sense. I'm going to continue the streak of defensive touchdowns, the streak of one, with Steele Chambers getting into the mix. And I wasn't sure. I know I have to drill down because I thought that he might drop into coverage and get another interception and then return that for a touchdown. But I'm starting to just get this royal premonition that it's actually going to come on a fumble recovery. Perhaps it's a JT Tuimoloau sack that's a forced fumble. Steele Chambers scoop and score. I think he's going to play a good game this week. Sometimes players go through funks. Like, you think about the length of a baseball season, for example, and Steele Chambers played some baseball and swung a softball bat this summer. Like, slumps are almost like an accepted part of baseball, but it's like you're not allowed to have any of that in football. Like, you have to be the same consistent level every single week, and that's not realistic. And the reason I say this because like the last couple of weeks have not been the best examples of Steele Chambers playing at an all Big Ten level, a championship level for Ohio State. But we have enough evidence to suggest that he can get back to that he's not lost forever, not able to recover from some of these setbacks. I think he's going to play well. I think he's going to be around the football a lot. I think having to sit and watch a series after missing a tackle last week against Maryland probably didn't sit very well with him. So I think he's going to be motivated, and I think he knows that there's a big challenge looming after that against the Penn State run game. So he's going to be around the football. He's going to scoop one up. He's going to take it back to the end zone and then have some weird things to say after the game.
Yeah, he'd hardly be the first man to go to rural Indiana to find a slump buster. So I think he'll be all right.
Oh, dear.
I mean, you got to remember, Steele missed a touchdown against Western Kentucky by just not scooping and scoring in that specific instance. So the proof of concept is there. He just has to scoop and score.
Bill, can you identify what parts of rural Indiana are ideal
for slump busting?
West Lafayette, apparently. Maybe Goshen, Indiana. You hear good things about Goshen, Indiana?
I think you've got some road trip stories that we don't know about.
You and Ari on the road together.
Yeah, those were weird road trips.
They always ended with a Red Baron pizza somehow.
That's true. Yeah, always. My next bold prediction. Purdue has given up 6 rushes of 30 yards or more this year. It's among the highest marks in the country. Only 8 teams have allowed more. Treveyon Henderson is going to get 2 30-plus yard rushes in this game. I think he's going to rush for 150 yards, which would be his highest mark since like the middle of his freshman year. I think the Penn State game his freshman year is the last time he did that. And I'm envisioning doing it on not a tremendously large workload, like something like a dozen, maybe to 15 carries. Like I think it is a game where you want to monitor those touches, but there's enough ground for him to get explosive plays where he still puts up a big yardage number. And I'm with Berm too. I think Ohio State ends up running the football pretty well in this game, if only because Purdue's not very good at stopping it. So big day for Treveyon in a bounce back after missing last week's game against Maryland.
Yeah, sometimes you need to play against a team that maybe struggles in the same areas or the counter area to where you struggle. And maybe it's false confidence that you'll have heading into the next week against Penn State, but false confidence is better than no confidence is the way I see it. And that always works in rural Indiana as well. Mm-hmm. I love false confidence there.
Fake it till you make it in rural Indiana.
Tyrone Tracy, who is Purdue's most explosive offensive player, he is not likely to play on Saturday. Because of that, I think that the Buckeyes are going to hold Purdue to under 40 yards rushing for the entire day. I don't see that Purdue's offensive line as one that's very good. They give up a lot of pressure on the quarterback. So the Buckeyes, I think if Purdue gets over 40 yards, it's likely to be Hudson Card, who is the one that pushes them over that. I think you could see a situation where Purdue's running backs end up with like less than 25 total yards of running success. So I'm really expecting a big day for Steele Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg, because they're going to be tested in the middle of this is not a Purdue team that's going to get to the edge or do a lot of misdirection or any of that kind of weird stuff that has caused trouble for the Buckeyes the last couple of weeks. If they try to run, it's going to be between the tackles with their backup running back, whose name escapes me, but he's averaging like 2.8 yards a carry. It's not the most explosive situation for
DJ Freshlegs is his name.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, I missed that one. The research. I think they had his government name on the things I was looking at. So I just don't think
Freshlegs,
where Purdue is going to be able to move the ball very much against Ohio State. And they are certainly not going to be able to move it on the ground. So big day for the linebackers. I'm going to think this is where I get parlaying and I end up losing my MVPs. I could see 8+ tackles for Tommy and Steele, both, and less than 40 yards on the ground total, but specifically less than 25 for Purdue's running backs. Yes.
Gosh. Whoever made that very eloquent tweet last week for Freaky Friday, where Bill and I made 3 bold predictions and Berm made 100. That was my favorite tweet in a long time.
Whatever. I don't even care.
I know. I'm just giving you credit for it. I loved it. It was fantastic. There's something cooking with this Kaden Curry package, don't you think?
Smells like spicy curry.
I'm going to put a little spice in the pepper. Like, if you keep doing it, even if 1 or 2 times a game, surely you have some sort of wrinkle and variation off of it. You don't want him to just go out there and block as a fullback. And I think Kaden Curry, did you guys know that Indiana is his home state?
Is he excited to go back there and play?
He's got a posse of 16 deep rolling to West Lafayette. I bet there were more in South Bend, and there were probably more in Bloomington, and the interest is declining. Like, Kaden, we've already seen you twice come home this month. Like, calm down. We're not going to this game. We got to save maybe for the Big Ten championship game, because you could play 4 games in your home state this year. So they didn't obviously let him score against Indiana. They were keeping that in the back pocket. We saw it come out against Notre Dame. Didn't work, but 3rd time, 4th time's the charm. Going back to Indiana, Kaden Curry is going to take a handoff and score a touchdown for Ohio State.
Now, let's say, hypothetically, that this was the Ohio State Picks show that runs on Thursday afternoon.
Sure.
What do you think the DraftKings odds would be of Kaden Curry scoring an anytime touchdown in this game? Like
plus 10,000.
Okay. So
I mean, because DraftKings, like or any of these gambling sites, they're great. Like, they watch, they know ball. Like, they're putting out all these prop bets. You can sometimes exploit them, but they're usually pretty dead on. I mean, Kaden Curry doesn't appear in the stat book for having touched the football on offense ever. We know that because we watch every single snap that they play, every single game. So I don't think it would ever cross their mind to put a prop bet up for Kaden Curry.
What if some sicko out there wanted to bet on Denzel Burke scoring a touchdown every week? Why don't these companies allow themselves to just take that money from people? That's what I would do if I was in charge. I'd be like, so why not just put a plus 5,000 on Denzel Burke every week, right? Like,
because I don't think they want to pay it if it hits.
Somebody would take it. Yeah, but you're going to win it. You're going to lose that 99.9% of the time if you're a bettor, right? Whatever. Kaden Curry touchdown, got it. That does move you into a tie with Spencer Holbrook for the weirdest prediction we've ever had on the show. And both times it was a fullback touchdown. However, yours might be weirder because yours is a defensive end playing fullback, not a tight end in the fullback role.
What are you talking about? Kaden Curry is actually lined up at fullback. Jeremy Ruckert had never, ever lined up at fullback when Spencer said that Jeremy Ruckert was going to score a rushing touchdown.
You're right.
Don't you dare.
It's true. Spencer's prediction was wilder because Ruckert had never lined up at fullback. So I give you your flowers on that one. Still very, very bold, which is the name of the show.
Don't you think they've got, like, they're only going to keep using him as a blocker? You don't think there's any wrinkle off of that whatsoever?
Oh, of course there's a wrinkle. And he talked about it on Wednesday night, right? Like he said, he wants the ball. Like I'm sure he's lobbying for it. He's probably made some sort of deal with the coaches. Like, if I'm willing to do this for you, you better give me a chance to score a touchdown. And what better way to do it than at home in rural Indiana on Saturday? I'm on board.
That's a drought buster. He's never had one.
I am.
You never forget your first time in rural Indiana.
Co-opting your bold prediction. I'm also on board with this one.
You're not allowed to do that.
I get it right. Yeah. I mean, yep. If it's right.
No. The king says no.
I can't wait to win that one on Saturday. Ooh, boy. Bill, it's your turn. What do you got?
I'm going to co-opt everyone's picks in case they're right and then take credit for them. And if they're wrong, pretend like that never happened. As much as I would like to see the presumed absence of Emeka Egbuka lead to more playing time for young receivers, I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're going to see Xavier Johnson, as Austin said. I also think you're going to see a whole lot of 2 tight end sets from Ohio State in this game to account for that, which, wouldn't be my choice, but I think that's the world we're in because I think they like it. They did it a lot last week against Maryland. So G. Scott is going to be on the field a lot for Ohio State. He will set a new career high for receptions in a game with 4, for receiving yards in a game with 40, and catch a touchdown pass for the Buckeye offense on Saturday.
A G. Scott triple ding dong?
No, just one ding dong.
That's a single game parlay, though.
Well, yeah.
Don't try to change the lexicon. It's confusing enough.
It's a triple. It's a 3 G. Scott bets in one, or both.
Trifecta. That's called a trifecta.
Oh, right. A G. Scott trifecta. Okay. I don't hate it. Not gonna hate it, Bill.
You want to co-opt it in case it happens?
He was thinking about it. He was about to do it.
Yeah, I did have a moment where I was like, not bad. But I think you're dead wrong. And here's why. In the pregame keys show before last week's game against Maryland, predicted that Brandon Inniss would score his first career touchdown on his birthday against the Terps. I did not, however, account for the fact that Ohio State was going to play with its head up its ass for the first 25 minutes of the game. So I had to remove that bet, that bold P, from my list of tricks and say, well, you know what? Not going to get it because of aforementioned head up the ass. Now, this week, however, I do think Brandon Inniss is the right fit to play in the place of Emeka Egbuka. Maybe it won't be starting the game there. I think you'll probably see Xavier Johnson in that role. But again, I think Ohio State's going to start fast. And I think you're going to see these young receivers, Carnell Tate and Brandon Inniss, maybe even Noah Rogers, getting their first real taste of Big Ten on the road action. And I think Brandon Inniss is going to score his first career touchdown this weekend. And that is going to be like an 11-yard pass, maybe not like quite as good as Jackson Smith and Jigba's first career touchdown. Remember that stupid one he made against Indiana? This is like a little screen or maybe a slant or something over the middle where Brandon makes his first, career moment for Ohio State. So I'm really looking forward to that, as long as the Buckeyes play with their heads not in their rectums.
Do you think that they will or won't? Bill and I have already given our score predictions on the Ohio State Pick Show. You made one on Monday, but that, of course, is always subject to change or co-opting other people's picks.
Yeah, things change, obviously, from Monday. I think like 38 to 10. Did one of you guys say 38 to 10 on the Pick Show?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, Bill sure did.
I think that's where it's going to end up, in that ballpark. Maybe 41 to 10. I could see. I mean, maybe I'm a big fan of Jaden Felding. So can see him knocking a couple through the uprights. 38 to 10, 41 to 10, something like that. I do not see. I'm going to give Purdue a touchdown on defense in this game. I do not think they're going to score an offensive touchdown. I just don't. I don't think they have the weapons to do it. This is not that Purdue team that has those guys.
All right. Well, that was another bold prediction mixed in with all of Berm's borrowed predictions from everybody else.
Borrowed predictions is Saturday morning show.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, now it is. Since we're probably not going to be able to do a live pregame show because
we are going to be fine.
I'm just telling people to be prepared. Okay. We're going to do our darndest, but you just never know. We're in the rural Indiana and anything goes except for Wi-Fi.
I heard everything was easy in rural Indiana.
Except for Wi-Fi.
Except for Wi-Fi. Yeah.
You take what you can get, right? Anyway, thanks for joining us to start your Friday. We hope you have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy Ohio State at Purdue, noon Eastern time. Both
Road
Columbus
breaks.
and West
Big
Lafayette.
night of road breaks coming tonight too, Austin. Can't wait for that. I'm just really like interrupting you today. It's sort of my thing for this Friday on the show. This episode of Bold Predictions, Bold Interruptions. Anything else? Are you going to say anything else so I can wait to jump in?
Is this how it's going to be during road breaks?
No, definitely not. It won't be that way tonight. But
I bet it will be once you get a couple daredevils in you.
If anyone has anything that you'd like to ask us for that show, we're going to send out a text asking for questions and thoughts to our text subscribers. But maybe you post them in these comments, and we'll see if we can dive in here as well. So that's it.
Bill's already opened his road breaks cards.
Sure have.
What'd you do? Do you have any success?
Yeah, it was all right. I got a nice numbered Shadur Sanders card. Got a gold Jalen Daniels autograph, Kansas quarterback.
Hey,
but I didn't get the case hit, so one of you guys is going to get it.
Spoiler alert.
It'll be me. No, it's definitely going to be Austin. I never win anything big in these.
There it is. Bold prediction. I will hit the big kahuna out of the case of Bowman Crow University, which was graciously provided to us by Card Collector 2. So that is Friday night coverage.
Have you guys ever slept with a weighted blanket?
What?
I'm just asking. Like, have you ever used like a weighted blanket?
No.
When you sleep? I'm telling you what, I bought one for Angie like a year ago, and like one of the children ended up stealing it essentially. So this week I was like, screw it. I bought this for you. I'm stealing it back. I've had the best 4 nights of sleep in my life this week. Like it is crazy. I do not feel nearly as restless in the middle of the night. It's definitely worth a shot. I don't know. They're made for like anxiety or whatever, but like I'm just sleeping so much better.
Get a good night's sleep because Saturday, Ohio State is at Purdue. We hope you've enjoyed the podcast daily all week long. We will try our best to bring you the keys on Saturday morning on the podcast. Bill and Doug will have the post game live as soon as it's over. All the rest of the normal content that you've come to expect, we are excited to bring you as Ohio State hits the road for game number 6. Thanks for joining us for Bold Predictions. That's Bill Landis and Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. We'll talk to you later.